Super League champions, the Leeds Rhinos. Absolutely fabulous.
Saints are champions of Super League again.
Hello and welcome to The Last Tackle with Betfred. We have taken the show on the road this week. We're at the DW Stadium ahead of Wigan Warriors versus Hull KR in the Betfred Super League. We've got an action-packed show lined up for you. Coming up on The Last Tackle today, we've got all the action from the Betfred Super League, Championship and League One. We've also been down to see the Leigh Centurions and Derek Beaumont at Leigh Sports Village. And we'll be bringing you the vote for Try of the Week and our new feature, Coach of the Month as well. But first, I'd like to say that I'm joined by Wigan Warriors club captain, obviously out injured at the moment, Sean O'Loughlin. Sean, thank you for coming on.
No problem.
First things first, quick update on the injury.
Still a little bit in the dark on it. Really, I've got to wait another few days, go and see a specialist again, and he should give me a little bit more information on it. But it's going well. It's just kind of we have to back off from training and just give it time really. But hopefully I get a bit more of a clearer view on it on Wednesday.
What you like as a spectator? Are you bad up in the stands?
No, I'm not too bad. I enjoy watching games as well. So it's better to be missing games this part of the season than it is later down the line. And it's a good opportunity to see how the boys go. Sit from far up, sit there up with the coaches and see how it goes.
Obviously, you've said this will be your last year. You've had one hell of a career, really. I mean, you must be looking at silverware again at the end of the year when you are back.
I think that's always the kind of goal for anybody. But it'd be nice on a personal note to do it. But I think first and foremost, I think that this part of the season, that's always what you wanted to do. You always wanted to kind of be up there challenging for that top spot, and then also the finals, the grand final and the Challenge Cup. They're all pretty special, and whatever year it is, you want to get your hands on those.
What's your assessment so far? Your first sort of 5 6 weeks of the season?
I think it's been good. I think we had a great win last week against Huddersfield. We've been going strongly, so it was good to get that win. But I think before that, we've been kind of building up nicely. Obviously not won all our games. We got turned over at Cass, but apart from that, we've kind of picked up some good results without kind of hitting top flight. So there's still been plenty to work on in training, and the boys have still been grounded. But there's a nice bit of confidence flowing through the boys, and I think today, with the good weather, we can kind of back that up.
It probably will be the best weather so far this season. It's a real cliche, and I almost don't like talking about it, but how much difference does it make when you've got a fast, dry track? Yeah,
it does. I think we've got this year we have got some pretty quick boys in the team as well, and Huddersfield was pretty dry last week, and we saw glimpses of what some of those guys can do. We've seen some nice tries from them, I think hopefully this surface, this pitch, being at home, we'll kind of see a little bit more of that today.
Obviously, it's a slightly different spine to your last couple of years. Bevan French coming into the end of last year, and then Jackson Hastings. How exciting is it when you've got players and pivots of that creative and that attacking in your team?
Yeah, I think obviously you mentioned the spine players there, and there's some new middles in there as well to put in the mix. So there has been kind of that little bit of a bedding in period, but as I said earlier, we've been still getting wins during those games when it hasn't always clicked. But we have added some real talent to the side, and it's kind of exciting to see how we can go this year and keep building on things.
And a contrast really to the start of last season when you struggled in the opening exchanges. But how important is it to pick up points in the early stages of the year?
Yeah, the games aren't season defining at this point in the season, but if you can maybe, even when you're not playing well, picking up points and still climbing the table, and it does make a big difference come the end of the season. So it's nice to be in this position compared to last year. We struggled to get wins, even though we didn't feel we were playing too bad. And flip that on its head now, we still feel like we've got improvements in us, but we're sitting pretty nicely in the table as well.
And you've had a year obviously under Adrian now, year and a bit. Do you feel like he's really stamped his mark and this is his team now?
I feel obviously when he came in that first season, it was at the time it was just for the year. So I think having this second year, it's settled him down as a coach. The boys are more familiar with him. He knows the lads a year better. So I think just as a whole, I think across the board, Lammy and the staff and the players are all a little bit more settled this year.
This afternoon, Hull KR, they've obviously struggled early on, but they've got some dangerous players, and they're a risk of turning anyone over this year.
Yeah, they play. Obviously, the results haven't gone their way every week, but they play some nice rugby. They throw the ball away well, and they can be dangerous. And they'll probably appreciate a dry track just as much as we will. They've got some quick players who and some offloading plays. So yeah, it's got the makings for a good game. We obviously want to keep our winning form up and not let them get the result today. But it should be a great game.
We're into that stage of the season now as well. Games coming thick and fast, and it'll be Easter weekend before long. We'll be into derbies, and when you get into these spells and you have these run of games, and you're obviously playing every week. Just how much fitness-wise, and particularly for the middles and for the forwards like yourself, just how much toll do you start to feel early on?
I think probably the season kicks off, and then I reckon it's probably a month before everyone's fully up to that kind of match fitness and the pace of the game. But yeah, the Easter period kind of separates the table a little bit. I think you need that strong squad where you can maybe get away with resting a few players, and games come pretty thick and fast. And if you pick up any bumps and bruises, you need that depth in your squad to kind of support that and prop it up. So yeah, games do come thick and fast, but it's also a time when people are finding their feet, and it helps just kind of separate the table. I think the real challenges start to climb up there a little bit, and some sides kind of fall away.
And just quickly, a man you know very well, of course, Sean Wayne, New England boss. You must have been pleased to see an old coach of yours pick up that title. Yeah, definitely. I was more than pleased for him. I was a big fan of Wayne and Wayne Bennett, that is, and his time with England. I felt as a coach I learned a lot from him, but I think with the mantle being passed, I think there's kind of no better bloke than Wayne to kind of pick that up and carry it on. I think he's very, very passionate about his rugby, very passionate about being English and Super League. So I think he's a real good candidate for it, and I think he'll take it on. Do you think he's the man that will lead us to an Ashes series win in the World Cup, hopefully? Hopefully so, yeah. I think he's got a great chance of doing that. I think there's no one who'll work harder at it. He'll get to know the boys who he doesn't already know. He'll build them relationships up, and I think he's passionate about the game, and he gets the boys to play for him. But he's also kind of probably what goes a little bit more unnoticed than that side of things is how much his skill set has come on as a coach as well, and how much he's improved and how much he knows the game. Well, that is, of course, at the end of the season, the Ashes series, but we are thick and fast in the middle of the Betfred Super League season. Let's have a look at the highlights from this weekend's action in the Betfred Super League. It was an unhappy return to Headingley for Brian McDermott as he watched his Toronto side struggle against Leeds. Brad Dyer opened the scoring before Luke Gale provided a moment of magic to put Richie Myler in. Toronto were briefly back in the game when captain Josh McCrone scored.
Shigo puts a little kick in. The ball is loose. Maloney was chasing for it.
Gale quickly nipped their resurgence in the bud as the Rhinos went on to win comfortably. Warrington got back to winning ways in dramatic fashion against Cass. Ton Lynham taken to the skies for the first try. The Tigers hit back with this high shot on Turner earning a penalty try.
Helps the ball to Turner, can he finish in the corner?
But it was Austin who held his nerve to win the game for Warrington.
Here is the chance!
Drop goals were the flavour of the night on Friday as Hull FC did things the hard way against Wakefield. Trinity took the lead at home through Atkins before Mahe Fanua ramped up to level things for the Arleybirds. At 26 up, FC looked comfortable in the second half, but Wakefield hit back through Jay Pitts before Atkins crossed for his second. A typically acrobatic try from Tom Johnston took the game to golden point, but it was Mark Sneed who would clinch the win for Hull FC. St Helens losing at home is a rare sight. They haven't done it since 2018. That was before Huddersfield came to town. Adam O'Brien opening the scoring. Saints hit back through Luke Thompson before they took the lead shortly after through Morgan Knowles. But Jake Wardle's try midway through the second half was enough to secure a famous win for the Giants. Salford's poor start to the season continued against Catalans. McAlorum opened the scoring before Matt Whiteley claimed a brace for the home side. Salford did rally in the second half, but ultimately they would leave the south of France empty-handed. The Dragons picking up another win in their impressive start to the season. Hull KR looked a much improved side despite defeat against Wigan. Ethan Ryan opening the scoring after Ryan Brierley's break. However, Wigan have the man of steel in their side, and a Jackson Hastings brace inspired them to the 2 points. That leaves Wigan at the top of the table, with Toronto sitting at the bottom, still winless in the Betfred Super League. So a remarkable round really so far in the Betfred Super League. What a night it was on Friday, those 3 results and just 4 points of difference in those 3 games. We are here out on the road, we're at the DW Stadium, as I'm sure you can see and hear around us. They are preparing for another big game in the Betfred Super League, Wigan Warriors versus Hull KR. I'm still joined by Sean O'Loughlin. Sean, we touched on it earlier, hanging up your boots. Have you had a think about what you do after playing?
Yeah, somewhat. I spoke to the club a while ago, probably about 5 years ago now, when I was discussing contracts then, and they wanted me to kind of stay on and be part of the club after finishing playing as well. So I've got a role there, whether that's involved in coaching or something else. But I do enjoy the coaching side of things, and it probably discussions what go on this year to see where I kind of slot into that. But yeah, I've done little bits with the academy over the past couple of years. Some of the boys got kind of scholarship age and younger, so it's been good for me kind of seeing some of them lads who have been involved in a little bit and seeing them progress now and playing alongside them. So it's from that side of things has been great, and that's something I'd like to get into as well.
And have you been able to use this spell on the sideline to have a little bit look at that, coaching side of things and look at it in that analytical way, I guess?
I think you kind of develop that as you become a more senior player, and yes. I enjoy the coaching side of it. I dip in and out of it a little bit with the academy boys here, but yeah, it's definitely something I see myself going into when I finish.
Obviously, a long history with this club. Was there at any point in the career that you thought about moving away, or has it always been Wigan?
I've always been happy here. It's my club who I've supported growing up, and I've always been honoured to kind of captain the side and to play for the side. So I've never had no burning ambitions to leave. There was opportunities there at times where I've spoken to clubs and had discussions, but yeah, probably deep down I always wanted to be here and stay here, and I've had the opportunity to do that. You
mentioned that you've worked with the academy, so some of these lads come through. How do you rate the current generation of talent that's coming through that production line?
Yeah, very strong. I think Wigan's still a hotbed for rugby. There's a lot of quality amateur clubs out there what produce a lot of talent, and there's a lot of coaches here at Wigan below the first team who put in a lot of hours and work hard and almost produce them players ready to go in by the time they get to the first team. So we're probably pretty privileged in Wigan, but there's also a lot of hard work that goes into that from kind of academy staff, amateur staff who probably a bit of the unsung heroes to how well these kids come into how well these kids are when they get to first team level.
And now there's a pathway as well with the academy and the reserves being back. Do you think that helps players get up to speed at that young age a bit more?
Yeah, I think so. I think the reserve by the A team was something I came through at, and it gives you an opportunity that if you're going well in the academy, you can make that step up and challenge yourself against men and grown-ups, and then hopefully give yourself a chance to play in the first team. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the reserves. The reserves grade. I think it's something we need. I think it gives, as I said, gives people a chance to challenge themselves, and also gives them the kind of players that are always ready for first team level at 19, gives them a chance to kind of keep progressing and keep working at the game.
Well, plenty of players coming through the academy, but also plenty of players coming through the Betfred Championship. So let's take a chance now to have a look at the highlights from this week's Betfred Championship games. Bradford took on Sheffield Eagles in front of the R-League cameras at Dewsbury, and the Bulls took an early lead through Brad Gallagher. Gallagher was in again before half-time, getting on the end of Rowan Milne's perfectly weighted kick to score. Milne's boot was the architect again in the second half. Pickersgill the better factor this time around as the Bulls extended their lead. The result was pretty much in the bag for Bradford by the time Jordan Lilly showed a turn of pace to score. but there was still time for the impressive Rowan Mills to pick up one more assist with his boot. Batley travelled to unbeaten Toulouse and opened the scoring through Dale Morton. Batley led at the break, but Olympique showed their class. Paul Macron's try sending them on the way to a 34-14 win. It was Whitehaven who opened the scoring against Widnes, courtesy of Andrew Bullman's try. The Vikings hit back not long after, however, with James Chappellow going over. Haven stuck with Widnes, but Sam Wilde's try would give the Vikings a lead at the break, and they proved too strong in the second half. Just a few weeks ago, York got the better of London in the Cup. There would be no repeat of that result at Bootham Crescent. Rhys Curran's try was followed up by Tua Wagodu as the Broncos shot out to an early lead. By the time Curran grabbed his second try of the match, London looked comfortable and would go on to avenge their Challenge Cup defeat, despite York scoring 2 tries at the end of the first half. Dewsbury travelled to Oldham, but it was the home side who opened the scoring through Ince. The Rams responded through Andy Gabriel, however, and the two sides would go in level at the break. Dewsbury would take the lead 5 minutes into the second half through Cameron Scott. And Joe Martin put the result beyond all doubt with 10 minutes left on the clock. Elsewhere in the Betfred Championship, there were wins for Featherstone and Leigh Centurions, who retained their 100% record. Welcome back to the DW Stadium. The sprinklers have stopped, but the rain has started, so we've ducked for cover and we've gone under the stand a little bit here. Delighted to say I'm joined by Tony Clubb now. Tony not playing today, a little bit of an injury?
Yeah, a bulging disc in my neck. It's given me a little bit of problems there, so should hopefully be a month and I'll be straight back into it.
Sounds painful.
Do you know what? It's not too bad. It's more when I sleep and things like that, so it's not too bad, so I can deal with it.
Obviously, so not in the team today, but you do have another role in the squad, I understand. You're the head of fines.
I am, yes. I'm the fine man. I'm the one that makes the rules and takes the money for it. So often get called many names, which I don't mind as long as they give me English cash. I'm all right with it. So yeah, it's not the role that I'd wanted, but it was thrown upon me when I come here to Wigan. So, but I'm happy with it now.
Keep it PC. You're a family show. What's the worst thing you had to find someone for?
Yeah, there's a few. A few with lads not having things on and correct gear and things like that. So it's but yeah, we've had a few good fines, a few good laughs about it as well.
If I was late for training now, how much am I getting fined?
100 quid.
Wow.
100 quid straight up, and depending if I like you or not, that could half or it could double it. Yeah.
And does that mean you get out of fining yourself? Can you turn up when you want?
Yeah, I can pretty much do what I want. You can't fine myself. So. But yeah, no, it just I write all the rules. Lads agree with it, and yeah, that's it. If they don't like it, it's up to them. I'm not bothered.
And you've got a few enforcers on the pitch this year as well. That's quite a big pack you've got these days.
It is. We've brought in well, you know, in Mitch Clark and George Burgess, and just some of our young lads. There's some big physical boys in there, so it's good. It's probably something we've not had for a while. In the respect that last year we was probably struggling for front rowers, you know, relying a lot more on our young kids, and you know, this year, like I said, we're bringing those lads in. We're stacked full of front rowers at the minute, and Benny Flower comes back into it, and young lads drop out, but we're in a good place at the minute.
It's not bad we can roll George Burgess out as well, fresh in RL.
No, that's it, and he come on last week and he did a fantastic job for us. It's like back when you play under 10s, you know, the big kid that plays for that, he's like that. George is so big, so it's good to be able to roll him out and him looking fit and healthy again. So it's like I said, I'm glad the one is on my team, not having to try and tackle him.
Take some of the pressure off you, I guess, as well.
Yeah, that's it, and the likes of Lockers who's still recovering from his eye and things like that. So it's good, and our young kids are doing a fantastic job for us. You know, you're going to see another one tonight in Ethan Havard, who's a very, very good kid. You know, we've been lucky to try and keep hold of him. Really, he's very good. He's a very special kid. So it's like I said, we're looking good at the minute.
I know you've been here 6 years now. You've settled in, enjoying it. Does this feel like your club now?
Yeah, loving Northern life. I'm enjoying it. I wouldn't leave Wigan now. You know, I've still got another year left, and you know, looking to sort of stay on for another few more years and then call it quits there. So, but I think even once my time finished, I'd love to stay at Wigan and help out any way I could. So they've the people of Wigan, you know, the owners, the CEOs, and everyone's really looked after me in my time here. So I'm thankful for that, and hopefully once I retire, I can give something back.
You've done well to keep the accent as well. Nice to hear a nice, strong accent in rugby league.
Yeah, that's it. That's living next to me, mate Louis. He lives just around the corner, so we can we sort of bounce off each other there. I'm a bit disappointed. My daughter's sort of lost hers. She goes to a school in Rugby Mill, which is more Scouse. So she's got that sort of twang going at the minute. My little boy's got a Wigan accent, so we're all over the place at the minute. But yeah, no, I'm still happy that I've still got it.
Obviously, you know, you've picked up some silverware in your time here. Realistic to do it again this year?
Yeah, I'd think so. That was the goal. You know, we're bringing in the players that we brought in Jackson and a few other lads there, and you know we spoke about with it being Lockers last year and things like that, and sending him out in the right way because he's been a fantastic servant to his club and a fantastic player. So, you know, the goal is we're really going to go into the Challenge Cup. We're going to throw everything at that this year, and like I said, with the big squad we got and the amount of players we got, we're going to rotate all the way through the year, and hopefully that should help us back end when it counts most. So we're, like I said, we're in a good spot at the minute. You mentioned Jackson there. You got to know him quite well in that semi-final last year. How was that first day of training? Yeah, it was a bit awkward, but we're all right now. We're friends now. Yeah, it was. I think the lads made more of it than what me and him did. So the minute we walked in, there was all like what's going to go on? It's like no, it was nothing. It was. At the time, he was doing the best for his team, and I was trying to do the best for mine. So
it's got to be nice to you. You'll be fine.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. If not, he owes me £100. So it's one of them things. So yeah, no, we're all right. We're all good. Well, thank you, Tony. Now, as part of the Last Tackle, we like to bring you a feature every week. Last week we went down to the Rochdale Hornets. This week we've been to the Leigh Centurions to catch up with Nick Glow and friend of the show, Derek Beaumont.
I'm probably not a person that's had a lot of change in my life, but it was a once in a lifetime opportunity for me. I didn't know too much about Leigh. I'd seen him in the Super League a few years ago on the television back home, and some of the Aussie expats who'd been over here and played, like Fui Moi and that. And knowing John Duffy through Scotland setup, I had that connection there. And so when he reached out to me, he kind of told me their plans and aspirations for this year, which I think there's no hiding that we want to try get promoted to Super League, and then had to back myself that I was up to the level and paid for my own flight and everything, and said goodbye to family and friends home and relocated here and given it my best shot.
Yeah, I had Nick in the Scotland set a couple of years ago, and he really impressed me. Found out what comp he was playing in over in Australia, and he got on really well, so I managed to get him over. He paid his own flight and accommodation, so I know he's here for the right reasons.
It was a no-brainer for me. Anybody who's prepared to pay for their own flight to come over, find somewhere to live and, you know, play for not a lot of money, tells me a lot about him.
He's a busy guy. He's got a job in a local primary school, and he's working over at Jacora Coffee for Corey Patterson on his days off.
Finished my university degree in teaching at the end of last year, and obviously being part-time, John and Leigh said they'd sort me out with teaching work and put me in touch with local teaching agencies, so that was great from them. And then I knew Corey had opened the shop, and when I first came over, I think it was the third day, I got an Uber from where I live in Ashton down here. I think I paid like 20 quid to get here, which is pretty expensive just for a good coffee, and then got chatting to him, the Aussie accent, and then said I was from Nui, which is where he was playing for a bit. Told him I'd been doing a bit of barista work back home while I was at uni, and yeah, and now I'm here. I love working here, it's good.
I retire, he goes into my spot, so it's just what happens. No, it's good, mate. I'm happy for him. He deserves his chance, and he's going well, and he knows his stuff with coffee, and he always gets compared to me, but obviously I'm heaps better looking than him, and he's the uglier Aussie bloke, so I understand scheduling of athletes, so I'm not going to say you have to work this day. He just lets me know, and then we work around it all. Nice that when he comes in here, we don't really talk rugby, so I think it's for him and for I, but no rugby zone. Coffee and cake, that's our specialty. Yeah, I don't think there's been any complaints. Surya, he does all the amazing cakes and pastries, so it's all in-house. Probably Sonny's the biggest person that we've had in. Sonny comes in, Jackson Hastings, Junior Sal's always in, all the Leigh boys are coming in, so yeah, they obviously love their coffee, so it's nice that they're supporting a former footy player.
Been playing rugby league since I was 7 years old. I'd had a couple of years off in my early 20s where I kind of lost the desire to play and just had a few things going on off the field. And then when I started playing again, the fire in the belly kicked off again. My mum's born in Glasgow, grew up in a little place called Troon down on the coast. Always dreamed of playing for Scotland. So I reached out to them to play university students. So I came over in the middle of 2018 to do that with the hope of getting my name out there to make the senior squad, which happened at the end of the year. Came over for the European Championships in 2018, met John through that, and in the last year was just asked if I was interested in coming over and having a go for Leigh and be a part of what we're building for this year, and it was a great opportunity. I think the second session at Leigh, the rain was coming in sideways, it was windy, the post looked like about to snap, and I was like, have I made the right call here? But no, I think I have, it's been good.
You know, it's a big commitment for him coming over on his own from Australia. I know his family are over soon, so that'll be good for him to see some familiar faces. But it's been great around the boys, and you know, we love having him here.
I think he's already done enough to, you know, earn himself a club over here, whether it's with Leigh or other clubs will certainly be interested as well. But the way he's going at the minute, you've got to see him here for some time.
Every team says they're a really close group and closely knit, but I think I've been in close groups before. I think we've got a really good bunch of lads, and we do really click on the field so far, and off the field we're really tight. Consistent footy is my goal for the rest of the year, and then the end goal is to be part of that squad for the World Cup, which would be a massive thing.
So from Leigh, just up the road to Wigan, welcome back to the DW Stadium, counting down to kick-off between Hull KR and of course the Wigan Warriors, but it is time to turn our attention to Betfred League One, and some big news breaking this week. Ottawa are joining the Betfred League One from 2021, a second Canadian side, of course, following in the footsteps of the Toronto Wolfpack. They've made the announcement this week, and we were at that press conference. Bring you a little bit of that press conference now.
All right, well, I just want to thank everybody for coming, and I also want to start off by thanking the partners that have had the foresight and the vision to jump on with us and support us through the process of bringing the Hemel Stags to Ottawa, particularly KFG Law and Sedulo over in the UK. So thank you to you guys. It's Commonwealth Day, so why not start a rugby team in Ottawa that plays in England? Seems like a good idea. And so that's why we're all here today. And I'm really happy that this day could come. It was a long road. We actually purchased the Hemel Stags. So shout out to Bob Brown and Dean Thomas over at Hemel, and everybody that works tirelessly to make rugby league a success in Hemel. And they will move on as an amateur club and an incubator for talent. So shout out to everybody in Hemel and Hertfordshire. We'll always keep the legacy of the Hemel Stags and what the Hemel Stags have produced close to our hearts, and will be part of our history as well. Just to give you a little overview of what we're doing, we're starting in 2021, as Simon told you. We'll be in League One, just like the Toronto Wolfpack started in 2017 in League One. And our goal is to one day do what they did and make it to Super League. And we'll do that with patience and hopefully with some homegrown talent as well. We'll try and get that in as soon as possible. And we really hope that everyone enjoys having the team here, because this is a feather in the cap for the community and a massive, massive piece added into the sporting tapestry in Ottawa that's already so rich with the inclusion of 2 new teams, including the Blackjacks basketball team. So we figured you can't have a Blackjack without the Aces. So that kind of worked out for us. Special shout out to everybody working hard at the Toronto Wolfpack, because they were like the early cosmonauts. They were like Yuri Gagarin heading out into space when no one knew what was gonna happen, and now we're taking that legacy forward, and hopefully we can take it all the way to the moon. We can be the Apollo missions of rugby league. So thank you everyone for coming, and I hope you enjoy the team.
So there we go, Ottawa joining the Betfred League One, another Canadian flavour coming into rugby league. Let's turn our attention to this week's action in Betfred League One. Here's the highlights from the second round of action. The pick of the action in Betfred League One came at the Crown Oil Arena as Rochdale took on Keighley. The Hornets opened the scoring when Andy Lee pounced on a loose grubber kick. Rochdale will grab another 5th tackle try when Ridyard's cross-field kick fell into the hands of Jamie Tracy, who went over to score. There seemed to be something of a theme developing. This time it was Rochdale who failed to deal with a kick, allowing Jack Miller to score for Keighley. And the Cougars were right back in the game just before half-time, former Castleford centre Jake Webster forcing his way over to score. It took nearly 20 minutes of the second half for either team to find their way over the line, Liam Worley crossing for Rochdale. And Rochdale's lead looked healthy when Martin Ridyard's drop goal on the hour mark pushed the Hornets out to a 23-10 advantage. Keighley were looking for a way back into the game, only to be denied by some staunch Rochdale defence. The Cougars did find the line before full-time with Richie Hawkyard going over in the corner. But it was too little too late as Sam Hopkins sealed the win on the hooter. Results from the second round of matches not to fall foul of the weather sees Hunslet top the Betfred League One table on points difference. Welcome back to the DW Stadium, joined now by the Wigan Warriors top man, the head coach, Adrian Lam. Adrian, big game this afternoon, but you've started all right this season, haven't you?
Yeah, pretty happy with the start. I can't really complain about that, but obviously coming back home after a great win at Huddersfield last week is always a positive spin on it all, and got a fit side, so looking forward to it.
And you must have woken up this morning thinking you're finally going to get some good weather and a nice dry track, and then this happens.
Yeah, there's still a bit of sun out the back there, so hopefully it dries up before kick-off, and but it's this week's been about us, and regardless of the weather, I'm looking forward to us doing as we've trained.
And with a pitch like this, with the outside backs you've got, your three-quarter line, you must be pleased with the way that speed can be put into action.
Yeah, we've hit a bit of form with our outside backs with their carries, and that's been a highlight for this year so far. It's an area that we've worked really hard on, and I'm looking forward to that as well.
And a bit of a new shaped spine, obviously with Jackson Hastings coming in and Bevan towards the end of last year, but starting to knit together, and those combinations are looking pretty sharp.
Yeah, we've also got young Harry Smith coming off the bench whenever we can, which gives him a little bit of experience. He's the next one in line here, and with Hastings playing the way that he is, and everyone knows what he's capable of. And it was always going to take a little bit of time for Lulawai and French and Hastings and Powell at 9 there to combine, and saw a little bit of that in the second half last week. So hopefully they can maintain that in today's game.
And you're about a year and a half into life as a head coach. Enjoying yourself?
Yeah, it's been good. Obviously some challenges along the way at the start of last season, which was difficult, but we got through that, and we recruited well. Fit. The squad is reasonably fit at the moment with some players coming back. Ben Flower back today, so George Burgess back last week. Still Oliver Gildart and Sean O'Loughlin to come back in the next couple of weeks, so very promising.
Well, thank you for joining us, Adrian Lam there, the head coach of the Wigan Warriors. And it's now time to take a look at the nominees for the Betfred Championship and League One Coach of the Month.
Toulouse were one of the pre-season favourites for the Betfred Championship, and a 100% start to the season for Sylvian Hules has justified that tag as Olympique sit pretty at the top of the table. Underbank may only be an amateur side, but they've been mixing it with the big boys in the Challenge Cup. Richard Knightside knocked out League One West Wales before putting in an impressive performance in defeat against the Bradford Bulls. John Duffy's Leigh side have started the Betfred Championship campaign like a house on fire. The Lathers have picked up 4 wins from 4 and look like genuine promotion contenders in the early rounds. James Webster has adapted to life as a Featherstone head coach like a duck to water. Rovers are on maximum points from their 4 games so far. They go one better than their 2019 grand final heartbreak this time around. Head over to Betfred's Twitter page to cast your vote.
So there we go, the nominees for the Betfred Championship and League One Coach of the Month. And when the women's season starts as well in the Betfred Women's Super League, they will be included in that vote. Get onto our social media, get onto our Twitter now to have your vote for the Coach of the Month. But now it's a time to take a look for Try of the Week from the Betfred Championship, League One and the Betfred Super League.
Hello and welcome to the Our League Try of the Week. I'm Dave Woods. Let's have a look at this week's contenders. Try 1 this week, Richie Hawkyard of Keighley against Rochdale. He might be getting on a bit at 34 in rugby league terms, but he's still got a youthful flamboyance when it comes to finishing. Try 2 and the wonderfully watchable Bevan French. We've said it before, we'll say it again. He's a one-man thrill factory. Setting up this try, ultimately scored by Jackson Hastings, but French's name is writ large all across the drama. Try 3 and a spectacular effort scored by Featherstone. Ben Blackmore collecting the ball behind his own line and instantly setting up a wonderful attack. Craig Hall, the veteran, in support, and when he begins to find defenders, there he hands it on to Louis Jouffret, a young Frenchman, going the next 60 yards to score a spectacular effort. Try 4 is Bradford against Sheffield, and how good is this kick from Rowan Milnes? Placed to perfection, Brandon Pickersgill sharp enough to follow and score. Try 5, Leeds against Toronto. You know when you've seen a good try when the collective live crowd goes, wow! And that's what happened here. Look for the reverse pass from Gale. Richie Myler then skips away from the last defender underneath the sticks. And finally, try 6, Wakefield against Hull. And Tom Johnson seems to be doing this every single week, simply defying gravity. Every week we have 2 tickets to give away for this autumn's Ashes series. If you want to be in with a chance of winning those tickets, all you have to do is download the Our League app, vote for your favourite, and we will pick a winner. Get voting, good luck.
So there we go, the nominees for the Try of the Week. Get onto the Our League app and vote. Chance to win those Ashes tickets. That is all we've got time for in this episode of The Last Tackle. But just quickly, if you are having a bet on the Rugby League this weekend, keep it fun, bet to your pocket, and please do gamble responsibly. We'll be back next week with more. We'll be back in the studio for The Last Tackle.